Hello, coaches. Hope everyone's doing well. This week, we're going to take a look at some pressing concepts. So, there's a recent article that I'm sure everyone's seen in the coaching community, which was with Pepin Linders on the Coach's Voice, and he talked about the differences between pressing and chasing. And I wanted to kind of use that concept and add a little bit to it. What's the biggest mistakes that teams make when they press? It's not just about running around the game at the top level. The detail around tactics and systems is so high at the moment that you've got to get that right. So, what are some ways that teams struggle, or what are some ways that presses are broken in the build and during matches? So, if you enjoy this here, please check out Modern Soccer Coach book Pressing. It's available on the link below, and there is also a discount code that gets you 25% off. So for a limited time only, you can get it at a bargain price, 25% off. All right, 3 things that you got to get right when you're training or implementing a pressing system. Number 1 is the approach, and something that language alongside pressing is always intensity and aggression, which is right because you've got to have those and commit to those. I think that's quite natural in coaching. You know, it's about getting there quickly. It's about those distances. It's about that ability to establish initial pressure as soon as possible. However, once you do that, you've got to get this detail right. You've got to get the ability to stand up and defend 1v1. So Pepin Linders explained in his interview that the Liverpool front 3 are responsible to defend sometimes 5 or 7 players in the opposition. Therefore, these front players can't get easily beaten in 1v1 opportunities. So it's getting the balance right and accomplishing aggressive pressing and applying that pressure quickly, getting the approach right, that you don't get beat 1v1 with your momentum that's naturally going to take you perhaps past the opponent, because you're dealing now with the technical ability of defenders and the technical ability of attacking fullbacks who, if they sense that a player is coming really quick in an approach, they can go past them and then that player is out. So this is a clip from Enoch Mushagalusa at Lou City where he goes to press just before he makes the tackle. You can see here that he just slows down slightly on arrival, and that stutter step sometimes gets overlooked because it's confused with stopping or backing off. But in this case, it just allows him to adjust his feet, and then it makes the attacker rethink how they can beat him, and it slows them down, and eventually he wins the 1v1 challenge. So the approach is really important when you're implementing a press. The second is stopping the switch. So once a team is organised and commits to their press, it's natural that you're giving up a weak side area of the pitch because you can't cover the whole pitch when you press. So preventing your opponent from accessing the weak side will allow you to create and then maintain those compressed areas that teams can struggle out of because there's a lack of space. That then increases your chances of winning possession. Pepin Linders said in the Coach's Voice interview that when you divide the 3 pressing zones, our precedence is clear. Compactness, a lot of times in training, we'll train in our pressing zone with a game 11v11 or 10v10, a zone where there's constant pressure applied. So not allowing your opponent access to the weak side is a huge priority. However, sometimes if you allow them access to go across the back 4 in front of you, it doesn't hurt your team. But if the weak side's access from beyond your midfield line, you could be looking at a 1v1 or an overload closer to your goal. So therefore, in my opinion, the role of midfield players and units to prevent switches is really important in your press. So here you can see an example from the Australian A-League. Western Sydney establish an initial 4-3-3 press. The opponents opt to go around it. It's not a big deal. Then, just as press are coming back inside to find the free player on the weak side, the Western Sydney player gets the body shape exactly right, prevents the switch, wins the ball, sets up an opportunity in transition. The third point, and something that I don't think is spoken about enough, is the positioning and the behaviours of the defensive line in the press. Even the best pressing systems in the world are going to get beaten from time to time, even at the highest level. It's natural for opponents to break pressure occasionally and then threaten defensive lines. So it's really important that your team has a strategy if the press is broken. Personally, I'm not really a fan of game models being press or protect the goal as an either or option. That basically looks at winning the ball high or going back and defend within your 18. I don't think it should be a press or drop scenario. I think defensive lines that can manage space put themselves at a massive advantage, because not only do they prevent access into the final third, but they give the midfielders and forwards opportunities to recover if the press isn't successful initially. And this is a great example from Philadelphia Union recently in MLS Next Pro. You can see here they commit to the press really well. The press is broken, and we pause it here with the back three in the defensive line just beginning to drop. And although they drop slightly, they do so in a really managed and calculated way with a specific body shape that limits the space for the midfielders to attack. They don't just run back as quick as possible. This limits the player in possession's option and allows midfielders to recover and win the ball and then set up an attack at the other end. So whether it's a 4-3-3, 4-4-2 or whatever structure you're going to press out of, that's only the beginning. When I watch the top teams today and they press successfully, it's the detail in the 1v1s or the unit work, but it's also the specifics and distances, managing lines, everyone being on the same page as a collective. And once you get those specifics right, attackers have way more work to do. If they do break out of a press, they might repress somewhere else, and it gives that pressing team an opportunity to stay in control of the game. Pep Lijnders was really clear in his discussion that pressing was a mentality, and I think that's really important. But I also think you've got to get that combination of intensity and intelligence absolutely correct, especially at the highest level. He also dropped in the fact that it took them 4 years to get there, which also tells you a little bit about the type of work, how hard it is to get there, and how specific you've got to be in getting those little details right around the press. So hope you enjoyed that. Please, if you did, please give it a like below. Please subscribe to the page. If you'd like to read more about the press and check out the pressing book, there is a code below for 25% off. The offer is open for 48 hours. Thank you. See you soon.